Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we are standing at the back of the truck because we have a new product here to show you. And this is something I have been really excited about, and I've been watching it since last fall. And they've released this product line, but then didn't even have pricing or anything ready. And they were saying that it's supposed to be ready, or the line was supposed to be ready to release in first quarter of 2022. I was actually able to go ahead and get some of these products, but the full line is not available still yet. And I actually did go ahead and open this box up, so this isn't going to be a complete just unboxing, but I am going to show you the way that it showed up. So let me go ahead and open this thing up, and I'll show you what we got in here. So this is the all-new Echo E-Force 18-inch battery chainsaw, and this is their 56-volt battery system, and it's just introduced, brand new. They were doing a 58-volt, and I'm kind of a little disappointed in that in a way, because I have several pieces of the 58-volt system, and they completely changed the battery lineup. But from my understanding, the reason they've done that is actually to improve upon the system and have a line where they actually have kind of a consumer version, and they also have a commercial line. So they're actually doing like their string trimmers that are like $199 starting point, and then they actually have some string trimmers that are $399 that are aimed more in their commercial line and their X series of professional grade tools. So what we've got here is the chainsaw, and this is the DCS-5000. And like I say, I have already opened this box because I wanted to try this thing out, so I went ahead and pulled the battery and the charger out in order to try to get that part of it charged up while I'm standing here kind of going over the saw a little bit. So we are going to try this thing out, but I don't know that we're going to be able to do it from a fully charged battery before it gets dark. So according to the manual, the 5 amp hour battery that comes with this particular one takes 150 minutes to charge it fully. We will be checking that out and seeing if that is an accurate time, or maybe that it charges even slower than that, or maybe even a little faster. Like I say, I've put it on charge. It actually is showing half charge right now, so we might get it to 3/4 by the time that we're finished up here. But at least we'll get to put it into a log and try this thing out. So let's go ahead and pull this thing out of the box and show you what is included in here and show you some of the details on this. This is the way that it did come out of the cardboard box. It was basically just in the box like this and had a little bit of packing around it. The bar actually had kind of poked out the end of the box a little bit, and then back here on the handle, there's actually a bulge back here in the back where the handle of the saw actually was trying to protrude out, where it got shook around. They didn't have it packed very tight, you know, but it doesn't look like anything's damaged or anything like that. The only thing we had in there was the battery, charger, and then the manuals for the chainsaw and the charger and the battery. So this saw has their 18-inch bar on it, and there's one thing about it that I am impressed with. It does still have a 3/8 low profile chain on it, but it is the full 50 thousandths chain instead of that small 0.43 like a lot of them use. So just to run through a few of the specs, I've already said some of these things on here, but I'll run over the details with you real quick on this. This is a 56-volt brushless motor on this. It's got an 18-inch bar and chain. This particular model comes with the 5 amp hour battery, and they say that you can get up to 200 cuts on a 4x4 size piece of lumber, but it usually translates to some pretty good run times. This one actually with the battery weighs 14.6 pounds. That seems like it's quite a bit. I've got my Echo CS-5000, which is a 73cc gas saw, and that saw with a 20-inch bar on it weighs 19 pounds. But we're only talking about a 5-pound difference, but 5 pounds is quite a bit whenever you're working a chainsaw and, you know, limbing out trees and doing that kind of stuff. I would say it's going to be pretty close to a gas counterpart, like something in a 40cc range. So one thing they changed on this saw, and this is not going to be really a comparison, but stay tuned because I will do a comparison between the 58-volt version and the new 56, just to kind of show the differences and the way that they operate. But one big thing that I am happy to see did not translate over to this 56 is the safety switch. The old 58-volt version, in order to be able to pull the trigger, you had a safety up here on the top of it. So you all the time had to put your thumb up here on the top and pull that back and then pull the trigger. And I am so happy to see that they actually moved this and put it on the side to where now, where you're ready to pull the trigger, you can just move your thumb up a little bit and hit that button. Makes that so much easier and more convenient than having to reach up here on top and slide that slider back. Also, I'm glad to see that on the oil filler cap, they put this lever style of cap on here so that you can pull this lever back, and then you have all kinds of leverage to be able to turn this to loosen it up. That makes that so much easier to do without any tools. And then you just put the lever back down and it's out of the way. It is pretty cool too that they did put the tool storage on this in the unit. So your scrunch is actually down here in the handle. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the bar and chain off and go ahead and look at this. Oh, this is great too. I'm so glad they did this. Captured nuts on your chain cover. So you don't have to worry about losing those anywhere. That is so awesome that they done that. So everything in here looks pretty well standard for battery chainsaws. Like this is pretty much your standard little sprocket and stuff in here that they always use. Of course, your oiler hole and stuff there. Your chain adjustment, everything's here on the side. You do have good steel studs here for your bar. And this saw actually now has metal bucking spikes on it. They're not real aggressive, they're not real pointy and sharp, but at least it does have metal up here to really protect against the wear and tear whenever you're sawing logs. A lot of them will have plastic here, and that plastic, you know, as you're kind of digging it in, that plastic wears off, the points wear off of them. So this is a lot nicer. I really like that. I like that they put the bar adjustment out here on the front side. And then of course it's got pretty much your standard chain brake. So let's go get us a little bit of bar oil and put in here. We'll check on the battery and see where it's at and see if we can't try this thing out. So we got it filled up with bar oil. Our battery is actually at 3 bars. And you can check this out. It's a pretty good sized battery, 5 amp hour. Like I say, we're at 3 bars on it. So that should be enough to kind of give us an idea of the power on here. But if we wait any longer, it's going to get dark and we're not going to be able to see what we're doing. So we're going to try this thing out. So stay tuned though, because we're going to have some full on test with this and running through a full battery. And this is something that I bought and paid for myself because I wanted to kind of get into the new line of 56 volt stuff, be able to compare it to the old 58 and see if maybe it's worth, you know, going ahead and upgrading to that new series or just keeping your old 58 volt. I've got to say, this thing actually it feels pretty heavy, and it really feels what you would think of like commercial stuff feeling. Like it feels heavy and well built. I'm actually surprised that it is that heavy. So let's try it for the first time. So it kind of has a slow start up to it, but then it has a really fast stop on it. I'll go full trigger on it and then let off all the way on it. So do it again. You can watch my finger and see it's kind of got a little bit of a hesitation to it. And it takes a second to get spun up to speed. And then when you let off, it only free rolls for a second and then just stops. So like I say, it's getting dark, so let's run over here and saw on some logs and see how this thing does. So there we have it, our first test run of our new Echo DCS-5000. I'm actually pretty impressed with the power on this one. It actually feels quite a bit more powerful than the 58 volt version. The reason I say that, the 58 volt version actually seems like it runs a little faster on the top end, but this one you can kind of dig into the wood a little bit and it doesn't bog out nearly as easily as what the 58 volt does. Now, it did stall out a time or two, and part of that is because, one, I'm in pin oak, which is a pretty tough wood to be sawing through. It's a good hardwood instead of, you know, something like pine or even a softer hardwood like maple or poplar or something. So that's a pretty challenging test for this saw, is to be running it through that oak. And if you notice, those logs that I was sawing on were not small logs. In fact, that one actually was going past the size of the bar. It was more than what the 18-inch bar could actually handle. And it continued to saw on through there and actually did a very good job doing it. Now, what I would have sawn a little bit more, but one, it is getting dark right now, and I'm actually having to use the lights back here behind me in order to be able to put enough light here where you can see me. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell what time it is on a camera, but it is getting dark and I didn't want to keep trying to saw in the dark. Plus, the battery did go dead on it, but it wasn't charged as much as I thought it was. It showed 3 bars whenever I started, but as soon as I ran it just a time or two and got the oil circulating for the bar, it had already went down to 2 bars. Or so really the battery was just only, you know, maybe half charge, if that. So it's not a real good test, but I did want to get at least a first test run today. So stay tuned, because we are going to see what this saw does on a full charge, running full all the way drained down to empty. So anyways, with all that being said, I am pretty impressed with this saw though. The balance of it with the battery in there is actually really nice. It has just a little bit heavy on the back end, but not much. You can kind of see the bar holding the handle kind of leans or kind of tips up just a little bit, but it's not bad at all. As you can see, with the battery actually kind of makes that difference. Without the battery, it actually hangs pretty straight. And then when you put the weight of the battery in there, it drops it back. But you are holding the weight back here with this hand, so it makes it feel very balanced. So like I say, stay tuned for upcoming videos on this. We're going to put this new 56 volt line of Echo tools to the test. I've got some other tools coming in this same line, so all those are going to be on here too. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and follow along with us for all the projects we have going on around the property. And we'll see you on the next one.